Hey Grace Youth, Taylor here, and we are officially on the countdown to Christmas. Depending when you're watching this, there's either days or mere hours until Christmas Day. And we hope that you and your family have an amazing and wonderful Christmas. We miss you up here in the youth room this week. It's just me, but I do want to share a little lesson and a quick word with you to inspire you and hopefully give you some encouragement this Christmas. So with the countdown being on, chances are you have lots of feelings around what's going to happen the next few days. And I would venture to guess that one of the feelings that you have is a feeling of joy. After all, Christmas is pretty big and pretty synonymous with joy, right? We sing joy to the world, the Lord has come. Joy is a word that we hear a lot around this time of the year. But I know what you're thinking. You might be thinking, well, Taylor, I don't really know quite what joy is. Is it kind of like an extra dose of happy? Is it like happiness times 2? Well, what is joy? And I want to say this. I think that there's this mistake that we make sometimes where we think joy and happiness are really kind of the same thing, except joy might be a little extra. And I want to tell you today, I want to talk for just a little bit about how joy and happiness are way different. Here's why. See, happiness is a reaction to something that you feel. For example, somebody gives you that exact Christmas gift that you want. A brand new pair of Crocs, a Starbucks gift card, iPhone 13, whatever it is. Whatever you have on your Christmas list, somebody gives you the exact gift that you want, and in response, you feel happy. Because happiness is a reaction. It's a reaction to a circumstance of how you're feeling based on that circumstance. But joy is a little different. And sometimes I think we get this idea in our head that joy is kind of like this good vibes only kind of deal, right? Or maybe we think that joy is blocking out all of the bad things around us in life and only focusing on the good. I call that toxic positivity. It's this idea that you're only focusing on the good things and completely ignoring the things that you might need to ignore that aren't so good. Or maybe sometimes joy, we think in our heads, we think joy is kind of acting like, well, there's nothing really wrong, and creating a false harmony, maybe in our households or with our friend groups or on our teams or on our workplaces, wherever. But we create this false harmony where we might need to bring up some healthy conflict, but we choose not to because we want to act like everything's okay, and that is what joy is. Well, I want to encourage us in these days, because I want to let you know that even when you might not feel happy, joy is possible. And I want to take the next few minutes to maybe redefine what joy is for you this Christmas. Because joy is something a lot different than just an extra dose of happiness. It's a lot different than blocking out all the bad stuff. It's a lot different than even based on our circumstances. Joy is deeper than that. And so I want to take a minute to talk about joy and what joy really means to you and to me as followers of Jesus this Christmas. See, the idea is this, that joy can be found anywhere. Joy can be found anywhere. Why? Because it's not found based on our own circumstances. It's found in who God is and what He did for us. Specifically, what happened and what He did for us in Christmas. So to help us today, I want to invite us to look at a section of verses from the book of Luke. Luke is a book in the New Testament. It's the second half of the Bible. And Luke is one of 4 books of the Bible that tells the biography or the story of Jesus. And it tells the story of when Jesus was here on this earth and as He lived and was born. And Luke specifically tells a lot about the birth of Jesus, which is what we celebrate this Christmas. This season of Advent, you might have heard it called. Well, Advent is this idea that we are waiting expectantly for the birth of Christ, or for Christ to come to this earth. And so Luke tells us a little bit about the birth of Jesus. Now I want to invite us to look at these verses together. This comes from Luke chapter 2. Let's look at these. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people. Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. And this will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger." So check out what happened here. See, the shepherds were just these ordinary people. These ordinary people that were living ordinary lives, watching over their sheep at night. And the angel of the Lord appears to them. And the angel of the Lord reassures them and says, "Do not be afraid, For I bring you, I love this phrase, good news of great joy for all people. So this angel delivers some good news to them and says that this is news not just of any kind, but of great joy. Now, did anything change for the shepherds in that moment? Meaning, did they get promotions from being assistant shepherd to head shepherd? Or did they get a spot in the palace? No, nothing like that happened for the shepherds. I want you to notice that. The circumstances in the shepherds' lives did not change. But yet this was good news of great joy. Even though the shepherds' lives didn't change drastically in that moment, they were still in the field, they were still with their sheep, they experienced great joy. And here's the coolest part. They wanted to go experience that joy for themselves. They wanted to, and it says later on, they wanted to go see what this message was the angel had told them. So they went to go find Jesus. You might feel a little bit like the shepherd this year, maybe. Maybe you've sort of been living an ordinary life, or maybe this year's been really rough for you. Maybe because of COVID, or things at home, or things at school, or some tough transitions, or maybe you're struggling with despair or mental health. Maybe this year has been kind of a joyless, you would say, and definitely not a happy year for you. Well, here's what I want to encourage you with. That thanks to Jesus, there's good news of great joy for you. Now, no matter what your circumstances might be, you can still experience a joy that is deeper. It's not a joy that tries to act like everything's okay when it's not okay. It's not a joy that tries to act like everything's all good in the world and nothing's wrong. It's not a joy that tries to just fake peace with someone that you might not have peace with in that current time. It's a joy that is beyond our circumstances, a joy that is only found in Jesus. And it's a joy that causes us to look forward at what's to come. We're going to look at another book in the Bible right now, the book of Hebrews. And this is also in the New Testament, but Hebrews, it wasn't written about Jesus' life here on earth. Hebrews was written long after Jesus was born, lived on this earth, died, rose again, and descended into heaven. And this verse we're going to look at from Hebrews, it talks about this idea of we can look ahead to something to inspire us and give us that joy. Let's look at these verses from Hebrews together. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. See, this is so crucial because Jesus was able to have joy because of what was coming ahead. I think we'd all agree that going to the cross, not a joyful experience. Going to the cross or facing something like that, what Jesus faced, a death that he didn't deserve, that's not a joyous thing to experience. But what did give Jesus joy, what made him have joy, was what was ahead. It was this rooted nature of God's love. And when we look ahead to that, when we look ahead to what is in life and what God might have for us, his love and his grace and his mercy that's beyond all circumstances, it's because of that we can have joy. Friends, this is why we celebrate this Christmas. We celebrate Christmas not because our lives are always perfect around December 25th. We celebrate Christmas because even when our lives aren't perfect or aren't going the way we want them to around December 25th, the birth of Jesus means that there's hope and peace and joy in our world. Thanks to Jesus later, his death on the cross and his resurrection, we can have this relationship with God that's made right, where we experience God's love and grace and mercy and joy and hope and peace in our lives no matter what. So friends, if you don't hear anything else today, here's what I want you to know. Where there is not joy, bring it. Where there's not joy in your home, you can bring it. Where there's not joy in your friends, in your friend group, you can bring it. Where there's not joy in your workplace, you can bring it. Where there's not joy in your own mind and heart, guess what? You can still bring it, not out of your own strength and own might, but because of what Jesus gives to you. Friends, this Christmas, these next few days, time with family that's so precious, and time with friends and loved ones that you might cherish, I want to encourage you to do this. I want you to look for ways that you can bring joy. Not ways that you get all the credit or you get all the glory, not doing anything that would seem out of the ordinary or maybe seem, forced. But I want you to figure out ways and find ways that you can bring joy this Christmas. Maybe it's extending kindness to someone in your family that's struggling. Maybe it's being thoughtful and thinking of that friend or that family member that's lonely this Christmas and giving them a call or FaceTiming them or shooting them a text on Christmas Day. Maybe it's doing something that can help you show joy to somebody else. Not just your own joy, but the joy of Jesus. Friends, Christmas is this amazing holiday that we remember what we have. Not based on anything in our own life or in our own circumstances, but we remember the love and joy and peace and hope that we have. We love you. We hope you have an amazing Christmas, and we can't wait to see you in the new year. Have a good one.